Hi, my name is Briana Valencia.
And I'm Kevin Kanawati.
And this is TWVocalize Chat.
And today we're going to do a topic on gun violence.
I mean, it's not really like a topic most people want to talk about in the first place, but I think it's something that's inevitable. Right now, you see it on the news, and you open your phone, like headlines everywhere of mass shootings. Mass shootings is like your local stores. And yeah, schools. So we're just going to kind of deep dive into like what's been going on and some of the statistics.
So far, mass shootings are nothing new in this country. Almost every day, it seems that we're hit with headlines of yet another shooting. 246 mass shootings are happening in America so far in the United States of 2022.
Yeah, and we're barely in, what, June?
Yeah, barely.
June 8th. Yep.
Early June.
246 mass shootings.
The United States has been a place of consistent mass shootings almost yearly. NPR stated that 200 plus school shootings happened this year, which I already stated. And the Washington Post states that in 1999, since the Columbine shooting, there has been 1,100,000 shootings in America, or at least gun violence of schools as well.
There have been plenty of instances, plenty of stances on gun control bills that we've been trying to pass, but to prevent for any further shootings, local videos show Texas Democrat Beto O'Rourke confronted Governor Greg Abbott at a press conference. I know it went viral, so maybe some of you have seen that video. A day after the shooting at Robb Elementary School, confronting Abbott about his loss of control and the effort on gun control. What is that?
There's also a video that also went famous with other people, such as like Stephen Curry giving this motivational speech before the game of the day of the shooting, just talking about like there has to be some change. There's also videos on like Matthew McConaughey, big names. That is very great to hear, but it's been so long that we just keep on hearing people just say like there's need to be a change, there's need to be a change, but there has not been any actions. There's been a lot of people talking with their mouths, but no actions.
It's like the Thoughts and Prayers group. I don't know, like where have all the thoughts and prayers got us so far from Sandy Hook to now? I think that just like says a lot that we need gun control. And I think people like when they hear gun control, they get really scared. In their heads, gun control equals taking their gun rights away. And I'm like, no one is trying to like come into your house and melt your guns down and like create them into something else. I think it's just people aren't realizing that it needs to not be as easy and accessible for, personally for me, an 18-year-old to go in and just get a gun and come out in less than 30 minutes. Yeah,
there has to be like at least more control. Like if people want to keep their guns, and especially in certain places, I understand they feel more safe with having that in their house. I get it. I'm not going to take that away from you. But there has to be a type of control. Keep certain guns, but nobody needs an AK-47 in their house. Nobody needs assault rifles and stuff like that. Like there should, especially for like what you said, an 18-year-old or someone of a young age to be able to buy a gun. But even in the military, like you have like there's a certain quota that you have to make to train to get the it's just I find it ridiculous that you could buy a gun, but you have to be 21 to smoke a cigarette or drink
alcohol.
That's something true. That's like slightly worse bad, I guess. But
they say your brain's not fully developed.
But 18's
yet.
fine. You can hold.
18, you can hold weapon that can go.
You could buy a gun before you could rent a car.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like that's really insane.
All of these mass shootings and instances like in schools and grocery stores, churches. How do you feel when you went to public places? Because I know personally, I'm thinking like where are the exits? And like, what's the fastest way to get out of here if something happened?
I know it's more uneasy now to go in public places. Like even we live in Arizona, and there's already been 2 shootings in Arizona, one in a mall and one in a Walmart, even close to where you live.
Yeah, very close, and I shop there regularly, so I guess pick up.
Yeah, it's just scary that it just feels like any place of where you might work or any place that you find that's safe, such like a Walmart. You know, Walmart's not the greatest place, but like it's something that's simple like that you think you shouldn't have to encounter such events. There's shootings, there's death, there's things that shouldn't happen. Heck, even the Walmart that was near my house in 75th, there's almost constant shootings every year.
The
even
mall,
at the mall.
The mall. There's shootings inside the mall. I was just like...
People who have access to weapons should not have weapons. And the need for gun control, even red flag bills and stuff like that, is just... People who could keep their guns, fantastic, good. If you're this good state of mind, and like you're able to like prove that you're not going to do anything wrong doing with it, that's fantastic. But like, there's too many people who have access to weapons and cause violence and cause deaths. Like that shooting in Robb did not need to happen. I think how many people died? I think 12 children.
Where?
In Robb Elementary School.
No, 17 children, 2 teachers.
Jeez, that's.
And I think like there was like 19 casualties. I'm not sure off the top of my head. But real quick off that, what is a red flag law? Just in case anyone might know. So red flag laws, officially known as extreme risk protection orders, allow law enforcement to seize firearms from those deemed a risk to themselves or others. I think that's great. Like if you come up on someone's list, like, hey, like this person might be more likely to commit something, and you can prove that, you know, maybe that was like a mistake, then that's great. But if you can't, then you should not be carrying it. I mean, people are gonna come at us and probably like, oh, they said, no, I'm saying people should not be able to have weapons where like you can go into a school and take out 19 people. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me, and I don't know how many more children literally have to die for these like congressmen to want to do something, but I think they're so far up with the NRA.
Yeah.
That like they're literally choosing profit and winning their elections over children, people in churches, people go to the grocery stores, people just living their everyday lives, and that makes me so angry. Like, I think I've gotten to a point now where it's like when you hear about another mass shooting, it's not surprising, and it's just like I don't want us to become desensitized to it, but I feel like I kind of am. Like, I hear them like, oh, another mass shooting happened. What's new?
And that's exactly what people who don't want to change any kind of gun laws, like there's a lot of Republicans and the people of the NRA who are just like, this is such a sad event, but, and there's always that but, just so they could just work their way in of like, guns should be a thing, we should keep that, there should be a bigger discussion of what's causing them to think like this and all that. And yeah, that's fantastic, but also take away the ability of them doing something bad. Like, great, of like, say if it was just that one guy who shot up Robb Elementary School, that garbage person, like, you could give him an excuse, like he was bullied, he was all that, like, no matter what, if you're bullied, doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole and a terrible person. Like, I was bullied in high school. I didn't want to go kill some kids. No, you deal with that crap and you learn from it. And if you don't have the proper resources, you have to get some type of help. And if that's the doing of like, if he was bullied, that he needs the kind of support we need to provide, fantastic. Actually support it. Don't just state that. But also take away the guns. Don't make that be an accessibility for that man who is not in a good state of mind to have access to weapons, to be like, you know what? I'm going to make someone feel like how I felt. I'm going to take away something that they can't ever get back.
I think like the biggest takeaway from a lot of this is a lot of these like politicians and people love to spout like, this isn't a gun issue, this is a mental health issue, but where are the funds to provide for mental health resources?
None.
Where are the funds like used in schools? We don't have enough counselors, we don't have enough teachers already, and then they want to come in with, we should arm our teachers when you don't even pay them a living wage.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
That's
like,
not their job.
And then I feel like that also comes into play with like, what if a student in that classroom got a hold of a gun? Or, I don't know, there's just so many possibilities that's just setting up so much, like, we already have a gun problem, let's not throw more guns at the problem and pretend that'll fix it. Like, it's like, that's not even like a Band-Aid.
That's just literally causing a fire with more fire and saying that should fix it.
Yeah, literally, like just opening the wound more. Like, it's, children literally died. I don't know what, there's no other words to state that. Like, children, fourth graders who had dreams and hopes and their favorite colors died in the classroom. Like, some they were learning and preparing for the future. And it's gotten to the point where, like, that stuff made me so sad. And I was like, I cried. Like, I literally cried, like, watching that. And I got to a point now where I'm just like, I'm angry. And I think, I don't know, like, what it is other than, like, we got to vote these people out.
Yeah.
Like, that, it's exhaustion of, like, the lack of accountability that we have in these politicians. And we've just accepted it. That, oh, they're not going to do nothing. I'm like, well, if we keep with that mindset and we keep voting them in and letting them win these elections, yeah, it's going to keep happening. I think we need to make some changes. We need to vote them out.
Yeah. There has to be some change, because these people who just keep saying it's okay for these mass shootings, not okay that these mass shootings happen, but they basically state that.
Yeah, they do with their actions, their inactions.
Yeah, they don't care.
Their thoughts and prayers. Your thoughts and prayers.
If you're a person of pro-guns and all that, good for you. That's fantastic. I get that, right. But just because we want to have control over how guns are being legislated and brought into certain people doesn't mean we want to take them away. We just want to prevent things like this at Robb or Columbine or every other school shooting that innocent people died to be preventable. It shouldn't be of, yeah, that happened again. We shouldn't have this conversation almost every other year. There's been 330,000, what I just stated, school shootings since Columbine. I have no words for that. It shouldn't be like that. Mm-hmm. Kids, especially kids in elementary school, but kids in general, high school, elementary school, preschool, should not be.
Sandy Hook, where were they, kindergartners and first graders?
And Sandy Hook, a lot of people were just saying that was a conspiracy theory. They're all actors. Like, are you insane? Little
babies died. They were babies. Like, imagine a little kindergarten, 5-year-old. They don't even, like, I don't know. I don't really understand, like, what we can, like, I can probably get up on a, like, tall building and, like, shout at people, and people aren't going to realize. And what makes me really angry is that, like, I feel like unless we vote these people out, nothing's going to happen unless something happens to their children in the same situation. Then they care. But then it's too late. Yeah. All these people are like, oh, that's too bad. But yeah, that was too bad at the elementary school. Next is the elementary school where your kid goes, and now, like, you're screaming and crying, let's do something about gun violence. So I'm like, it's too late for your child to have a future now, because you didn't care when it wasn't. What we were talking about in our last podcast was, like, they came for so and so and they came for so and so, and I did not speak, and then when it's like, when they came for you, when they came for you, there was no one left to speak for you. And I think it's kind of like the same notion of, like, it's going to keep happening and happening and happening. And one day it's going to affect either someone you know and someone you love, or I hope not. Like, maybe well, I don't have kids, but, like, if I did, like, you know, that's going to be crazy to me, because, like, now it's really too late. Like, you didn't do nothing, and we didn't vote these people out. And these politicians, they could care less if people are literally dying, because that's what they've been showing us. It's
just, have the mindset of those parents that lost. Keep them in mind and really think about it. And try to imagine the pain. Try to imagine what they're going through and how for the rest of their lives, their children are gone. They're never going to get to see them, especially at Robb. Graduate high school, had their first crush, go through the little tantrums that teenagers always go through, get engaged, get married, go through the adventures of life, find a career that they love. All those opportunities gone.
All of that, that's part of life. And I'm like, they didn't even get the chance to do that.
They were just 8, 9, 12.
I think they were like 10. They were 4th grade.
I know the youngest was an 8-year-old, right?
I think most of them were all in one classroom. I think they were 4th graders. It doesn't matter what age they are at this point, because it's just like, what if they were 8 years old? What if they're 12-year-old? I don't think any of these kids deserve that. They literally went to school, and what makes me so sad is that their last day of school was like 2 days later. Like,
yeah. Like, how does that even school handle that? I think even, what was this, when we were freshmen in high school, there was a shooting. I forgot the name. It's Sandy Hook's. Wow, we just talked about it.
was it? Yeah.
I believe it was Sandy Hook's. And they were talking about how in that school, other than people like Alex Jones and so many conspiracy theories, like parents were getting so much hate from that and getting so much death threats because of people like Alex Jones. Also, fuck you, Alex Jones. The school had to implement trauma sessions where I think their code word was elephant. And if they're in class just getting taught and they felt the PTSD, they'll say elephant, they'll be brought out of the classroom and someone will console them and let them know everything's going to be okay. It's understand and let them hear them through it and what's getting them that PTSD.
Stop,
Kids.
that makes me want to cry.
Like
that's like so sad.
No kids should have PTSD.
Or gun violence in your classroom. Like, we're not in a war zone. Like, the fact that they're designing backpacks now that have bulletproof vests that kids can use.
It's insane. And it makes me feel sad that I feel like that's probably a good idea.
It is, like, and it's awful. And there's, like, so many viral videos of teachers. They have, like, cubbies of, like, equipment to use. Like, if there's a mass shooting, like, one of the teachers had this thing where she jams it under the door and, like, a baseball bat. And I'm like, imagine having to come to work thinking, like, it could be your last day. Like, first of all, you don't pay teachers enough. They're literally putting their life on the line to, like, protect their students. And then they're like, you know what? We don't have enough money for supplies, but I'm going to spend what little I make on some equipment so maybe someone doesn't come in and kill my students. Like, I don't know what words. There is no words to, like, explain how big this problem is. And no one's doing anything about it. These politicians aren't.
No.
We need to be the generation that ends this. Like, this has become too much. The past generations, obviously, with Columbine, they failed. They failed, and they failed us, and they failed this generation. And look at, like, the outcome. Just because they want to keep their guns. Like, screw you and your guns. I'm not against owning a gun. I am against having, like, a weapon that can take out children and people's and churches and grocery stores. I think no one is trying to take your guns away. We just need to make it safer and harder for people who shouldn't have guns to not get them in the first place.
And at least maintain what kind of guns you're allowed to own. I don't think no one needs an RPG. Nobody needs, like, massive amount of, like, even grenades. You don't need all these kind of weapons in your house. Like, I guess, yeah, I can understand the appeal of it, that it looks cool and it seems cool at a firing range. Get it. I get that. But do you need it? Do you need access to that? And do your kids need to be exposed to that accessibility that you have? And then they could get that. And just because you possibly have those guns, they could possibly do something. Like, you have to think. It's not necessary. Like, it's not a necessity.
I agree.
So many lives have been taken away just because, the Second Amendment, you believe in it so strong, an amendment that's over 100 years old?
And, like,
it's outdated and written by people who had slaves? Like, really?
I feel like we shouldn't, the fact that we're still living by rules like that is crazy. Like, I think we need to redraft it. It doesn't fit anymore. Society has changed. We have technology. Women can literally own property now. Like,
Bible changed. Why are we okay with that being changed, but we can't change literally just the 10? I was going to say the 10 Commandments. Just stupid crap like that. It's just the amendments. It's just,
I don't know. It makes me angry, and I feel like this topic is just so draining because it makes me, like, so sad for all these victims of gun violence. Like, there is no energy into wanting to talk about this because it's something I wish we didn't have to talk about, and I wish we didn't have to sit here and read you statistics on how many children died.
Yeah.
But that's the reality, and that's the reality if we keep letting these people be in office and we're not voting. And we want to make sure you are registered to vote, make sure your registration is up to date with your address.
Make a change.
Sign up to the permanent early voting list, and go talk to your local officials and hold them accountable. Because if not, I'm sad to say it might be a school in our neighborhood one day, and we need to do something about it now. But join us next time on TWVocalize chat, and we hope to see you all soon. And hopefully, we don't ever have to talk about this again. But the way this country is going, I don't know. But we can stop that if we all vote.
Let's make a change. I'm Kevin Kanawati.
Briana Valencia.